Welcome back to another week of Mid-State Sports Corner. I am Brett with two T's. Over to my counterpart and our starting goalie for tonight's beer league game, Brett with one T. He's got a couple weeks off, so hopefully he's fresh and ready to go.
Yeah, I am. I guess you could call it fresh. It is Sunday, I guess, right? So this is supposed to be the time you're most refreshed from the week, but sometimes it's not always the case. And here we are working again, right? But we got ourselves a pretty awesome guest here today.
Oh yeah, we got an awesome guest. So it is going to be a hockey centric episode, if that's to anyone's surprise, since we are pretty hockey based now that we are into the winter and football starting to wind down a little bit. But I do want to introduce our amazing guest today. He is a local Genesee County legend, former Flint firefighter, #1 D-man on the Battle of Badges Flint Fire Team, and he is the 2019 recipient of the Willie O'Ree Award, the founder of the Flint Intercity Youth Hockey Program. Please welcome Rico Phillips.
Obviously, there's a serious side to me, but the biggest thing that I can say is that through time, I've taken my experiences and really tried to just not just share them with others, but try to take the best of my experiences and help me move forward and help others move forward. That's kind of how I am.
One of my favorite things about you, obviously I met you a couple years ago, obviously our connection with the Battle of the Badges game that we do together on the fire team, is you are a very humble, fun guy. That's one of my favorite things about you, and you are the vibes guy too. Those pregame speeches you give us, those were the best. Those are absolutely the best.
You got any special moments from one of those, or what? You got your favorite one that he's given you, or what?
Oh, I love so we are gonna have a little expletive here, but he gave a great speech, and he ends it we're going back to NWA. Fuck the police. That was the best. And then we go out and lose again. But that's beside the point.
That's besides the point. But you felt inspired in the loss. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It was a great game. It came down to the wire.
That's all you can ask for.
It's a very good game. It's a better game than I've played in a long time for the Battle of the Badges. But for all you police officers that are listening out there, it was just for the moment. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
At the end of the day, I mean, we all pretty much know each other. It's all great fun. But, man, do they have a stacked team every year. And they didn't have some of their best players this year, which was like, oh. But luckily, we had that goalie this year that kept us in it.
Yeah, we got to figure out how to stack. Get more firefighters playing, eh?
I'm working on it. I'm trying because Dom gave me the task of trying to put our team together. So yeah, I'm trying to get some. I'm trying to incorporate some alumni as well. He said we could do that. So I'm trying to work that out to where we do get a bigger team.
Cool. Cool.
So let's jump into your inner city youth program that you started over in Flint. Let's jump right into that because that preludes into how everything else is played out for you. So where did you get the inspiration for that, and just so overall, how is it going currently?
Yeah, for sure. I think it would be important to share how I got into hockey to lead me up to the inner city youth hockey program, because they kind of go hand in hand. My story starts in high school. I didn't play hockey as a little kid. I started in high school because I was a student athletic trainer, and because it was my quest to become a firefighter. So I was trying to decide, try to get into spaces where I could get some experience, some hands-on experience prior to, getting into the fire service. And I had first aid and CPR cards, and the head athletic trainer asked me would I be willing to help him out with the football team. So initially, that's how it started. I was working hard through 3 seasons. I went through, when I say 3 seasons, I mean football, basketball, baseball, and then the following season, which would have been my sophomore year, I was working diligently. And then he said, hey, after football season, he said, I'd like to assign you to your own team. And I said, I was all excited, 10th grader, okay. I said, all right, I'll take basketball. And he laughed at me. He said, no, that's my team. You sit in the bleachers. I was like, man, I'm sitting in the bleachers. So I was sitting next to a guy who in our class, and we become buddies. And he said, hey, Rico, we need a trainer. And he's a hockey player. He's a freshman on the team. And his name is Mark Crow. And I give him all the credit in the world because he actually inspired me to be part of that team. And so when I went to the head coach, you guys, you can't picture me. It was in the mid 80s, but I had a long trench coat on, and I just was all over the place with style. I didn't know who I was.
Did you have hair then too?
Oh, I had a lot of hair. I think that then I had a shag, so you're flowing
Oh, I can see it now. Yeah.
other way. But anyways, coach looked at me sideways like, "Can you carry sticks?" I said, "Yeah, I can carry sticks."
Right.
So anyways, that's how my venture started. Well, when I see my first game at the then IMA, it blew my mind. I was just like, I couldn't believe the speed and the skill that these players had and the camaraderie that they were sharing. It was different than the other sports I was a part of. I think it mainly had to do with the skating part of that. Skill is so special, and the speed, of course, because of it. But anyways, I asked Coach, can I learn how to ice skate with the team? And again, he looked at me and chuckled because we had a really good hockey team. I went to Flint Southwestern High School, and assistant coach said, I'll teach them. And so that was how I launched into hockey. By the time I was a senior, I was challenged to become a referee. And so when I said, okay, I'll do that. But the thing of it is, guys, I hadn't learned how to stop yet.
Oh.
A particular incident is that when I went to a very diverse high school, and when we went to hockey, to the locker room was different. They talked different, used slurs, and it was just like, where are we? And I had to adjust the way I felt about that in order to stay, because I like the sport, and the guys weren't being necessarily mean to me. That's just how they spoke, but I noticed it was different. And if I was going to stay there, I had to just kind of go, okay, look beyond it. I dared not tell my black friends what was being said because it would cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, the second month into my refereeing gig, and I blew a call, and the coach calls me over to give me the business, and his assistant coach starts just screaming at me. He calls me the N-word, told me he's going to kick my ass out in the parking lot. I was beside me. I was 17 years old, you guys, and I was like, whoa,
Right.
what just happened to me? I'd never been called that before by anybody. So after the game, I was absolute that I was quitting the sport. I was done with it. I thought this sport does not want me. And luckily for me, I had a wise senior partner working with me who actually threw the coach out of the game for me on my behalf. But he told me, he said, today's the day you're either going to grow up or stay a kid. And I looked at him sideways like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? And he said, Rico, you're going to come across racist people in your life. And there's virtually nothing you can do about it. All you can do is be who you are. You're not that name that he's called you, right? And I said, yeah, absolutely not. He said, then if you leave here, he's doing exactly what he wanted to do, is chase you away. Don't let him chase you away, Rico. And so 38 seasons later, I'm still refereeing you guys.
There you go.
So he never chased me away.
And now you're at a cow pasture up in somewhere in Michigan, and all refereeing games.
Yeah, it's called Fools. It was through my experience as a referee that I was inspired to start the Flint Intercity Youth Hockey Program, and that's why I bring that whole story up. Because as the years went by and I got better at skating, and I got more advanced games, I started to notice something about the players on the ice, and that's just that they all seem to come from the same type of background. They were cookie cutter, I would say, all from the suburbs or rural areas, and they all were affluent and could afford this sport. And it wasn't that they didn't deserve it or they shouldn't have been there. I just thought to myself, I would like to see more people that not only look like me, but come from backgrounds like I did, blue collar, that have, maybe both mom and dad have to struggle to work a little bit, but yet they could still have their kid enjoy this great sport. So I dreamt up the Flint Intercity Youth Hockey Program, and our program introduces kids between the ages of 7 and 12 to the sport of ice hockey, and we do that absolutely free. Well, I should say barrier free. So it isn't. The cost is their time commitment,
Sure.
and the reality that we don't do the program for free. It does cost money. But we fund it through local, everything's local for the most part, as far as local businesses. The Firebirds Foundation kicks in and it pays for our ice. So that's a huge, huge
Absolutely. That's the biggest expense. That ice isn't cheap, almost $300 an hour anymore, it seems like. So
Exactly. And then originally we got equipment through Pirani's Hockey World, and they've been our number one supplier. Now we've been getting grants for equipment, but the kids check the equipment out in and out each week, so we don't actually give them equipment away. That way we sustain. The one thing that we struggle in with the program is getting kids interested in participating. currently we have open registration. Now, I will be honest with you and say that it's only been through social media right now, but I have 6 kids signed up and I have room for 30. So I'm going to have to go do some media blast and know those kind of things. But it's just because the sport is so far removed from the inner city of Flint, even though we have an OHL team here.
Mm-hmm.
They kids and families, parents can't see their kid participating in the sport. They only know a couple things about it, that it's expensive, and for some of those, some people that it doesn't fall within their demographics of the sport they play. So what I try to do is open up that avenue and say, no, it's a sport for everyone, and we're going to help you participate. Another good thing that we have is transportation is provided for those that need it by Mass Transportation Authority. And the reason all that's symbolic, that along with we have high school teams that come in each week, different teams that come in each week, and there are on-ice volunteers. And what that does, it creates a cultural balance between suburban high schoolers and inner city youth. And it's an incredible thing to see as each week unfolds. And so in 2019, I'm trying to decide, how do I get more Black people interested in our sport here locally? And I know that a lot of Black people, particularly older Black people, tend to tap into history or historical figures. And Willie O'Ree is credited with being the first Black hockey player to suit up in the NHL when he suited up in 1958 for the Boston Bruins. Broke the color barrier. And he had an incredible career. It was short-lived with Boston, 3 years with Boston. And the stories that he's able to tell about his experiences is unbelievable compared to anything that anyone deals with today when it comes to racism on the ice, or racism in hockey, should I say. But it was after he ended up playing in the Western Hockey League, or excuse me, the World Hockey Association, and for the Los Angeles Blades, and then eventually the San Diego Gulls, and had a 21-year career there playing. Became very symbolic as a fan favorite, especially as the years started to become longer. Well, it was after his career that really where he left his biggest impact in hockey. In 1998, he became the ambassador for what is known as Hockey is for Everyone. And what that does is that promotes programs similar to ours to create opportunities to share this sport with those that typically wouldn't be able to. So, and the end of 2018, I'm preparing for 2019. I'm like, if I could only get someone like Willie O'Ree here, maybe that would make a difference. So, you guys, I reached out to the NHL, somebody I didn't know, and I was on a phone call with them, and the gentleman says, "Well, tell me about your program." And I told him everything I just told you. And then he says, "Well, we don't have a budget to help you out this year, but what about if we send Willie O'Ree to you?"
No, that'll work.
That'll work.
It's like that's kind of what I was going for, but yeah. Sure.
I just played it right off, like, yeah, wow, thank you. You know, no idea that's what I was calling him for. But so Willie O'Ree comes to Flint, Michigan, the legend himself, and we're sitting having court with Willie O'Ree. We're eating every word he has to say, and he's telling us these stories about his experiences. And one story that stuck out, not a story, but one anecdote he said, "You know, if I would have fought every time somebody called me a racist name, I'd have never played in the NHL. You'd have never known about me because I wasn't there to fight. I was there to score goals." And he said, "I had to put on a shield of armor when I went there, and it was okay." You guys, I want you to understand that he did this with no right eye. He had a glass right eye, and no one knew it.
I didn't know.
I know that
I
at
did
all.
not know that. That's an interesting fact.
Yeah, he took a shot from his own defenseman, cranking a shot towards the net, and it hit him right square in the eye. He lost it, and then the doctors at the time said, "You'll never play hockey again because you can't see." And he said, his quote is, "Well, the doctor might have known what was in my heart or in my eye, but he didn't know what was in my heart." They didn't have physicals back then, so nobody knew. So if you see early video of Willie O'Ree playing hockey, he was playing on the left side, and he didn't have a right eye. So, and you watch him, he's constantly like head on his swivel, looking over his shoulder. He'd be blindside hit all the time. And so that's likely why he had a short-lived career with Boston, because he wasn't able to produce like he should have.
Mm-hmm.
but he couldn't tell coach, I need to be on the right.
Right.
Right?
Like you're in the
Right?
NHL, like I got a job.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So when he went to the Western League, he finally was able to tell coach, can I try the right side? He scored 20 goals.
As a D man.
Right.
Yeah, no, he was a forward.
Oh, was he a forward?
Yeah, he was a forward.
Okay. There it
Yeah, he
is.
was a forward. He got hit by a D man shooting the puck.
There. Okay, that's where I got mixed up. Got it.
And hit him with the shot. But so once he got to the side that he's supposed to be on, now he's a prolific player. And so those are just little stories that he told us. Well, it was during his stay. He watched our program unfold. He watched what we call the big game, and it's the only game the kids play in. It's a scrimmage, and it's pretty unique. We invited everybody from the community out, and it's as cool as any game you watch. You know, a little kids game. Other than it's not much hockey, but it's fun to watch.
Sure.
Slap around the puck, right? But
Yeah.
the fans, the parents are into it like any game. It's really, really cool. So Willie's there. And after it's over, he talked with my wife. He said, you need to have Rico nominated for the award named after me. And so that's how I was nominated,
Wow.
basically, on the request of Willie. And so I became a finalist that year, along with two other great individuals who, you know, anybody that becomes a finalist for that award is doing great work in the sport of hockey for kids. I was fortunate enough. So the way that you became the winner, though, was through fan voting. So
I voted for you.
Me too.
thank you, my friend.
Yeah, I voted for you.
No problem.
How it went. And so I pushed share the day it opened up. The voting opened at 7:00 p.m. on a Sunday. At 7:01, I pushed share, and I never touched it again, and it went viral. It wasn't just mine, trust me.
Sure.
It was unbelievable. Sitting here during that week, recognizing what was happening, it was so humbling, you guys. And what I realized is that it wasn't just my hockey community, it was my firefighting community as well. Because I taught fire safety in fact, my entire career. I was able to connect to our community. I was also vice president of public relations for our union, for the Flint Firefighters Union. And so I was very visible out in the community already before any of this happened. And when it all was said and done, I know that the big difference maker was the fact that the entire community got behind me. I mean, as you hear local, so you see the local news run stories several times that week. So I was pretty like overwhelmed at that point, but I was waiting to get news if we won, because they said that they'd send us news that you won and you get to go to the NHL awards. And then I got notice, you guys, that all three of us were going to the NHL awards, all three finalists. And I said, we won no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
The experience alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And our story's going to be told nationwide or worldwide. And so I was pretty excited about it. And so we go to Vegas, and you guys got to understand the NHL awards. Me, just a layman, I'm going to the NHL. Not just going to the NHL awards. I'm going behind the scenes
Right.
of the NHL.
You're a part of it. Yeah, you're not just like a
Oh,
fan.
I got some follow up questions about the award show
Yeah, for sure.
after you get through your story. Yeah.
Yes. I won't tell, since you have follow up, I won't tell the whole detailed story of the award show, because there's some things that occurred during that show. But anyways, when after our story was told up there, I had this incredible sense that I may have won. Just the way that it was presented, the way the story was told. I was like, they showed it last. I don't know. I was starting to get a vibe. I looked over at my wife, and we just heard that there's 10,000 people in the audience, and I knew there was watch parties here in Flint, and a million people watching across the world, and I was like, I told my wife, I don't even want to win. She said, what? I said, I don't want to go up there, man.
Right.
And I've given speeches before. I said, I do not want to go up there, man. I was so nervous. And so just before, like, there was a commercial break, and you could see as the awards went, like, ours was second to last. So it was going to be a long night, right?
Right.
And so just before the commercial break, I was like, I got to pee bad. Oh, bad. I was like, I can't go, though. I got to stay here. So I'm just trying to just suck it up and go. And the next thing you know,
this picture of you on NHL.com talking about this, you had to pee really bad during this entire time?
yeah, I did. So my name is called. Oh, excuse me. They go up, and Willie O'Ree says, as they're doing their speech, and the winner is Rico Phillips. And I'll never forget the way he said it, man. And it was like out of body experience,
Mm-hmm.
you guys. And so I moved my way. I hugged my wife, and she said, "You got this." Oh, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I shake the other finalist's hand and hug the other finalist, and then I start to make my way. And that's when I realized I hadn't really thought Mandalay Bay, so we could kind of see, where they wanted us to go if we were to win the award, where we'd be sitting. But it was like a 10-minute tops. Like they brought us in, go up this stairwell, receive the award, walk over, and we had our remarks prepared already. So they would come up on a teleprompter. So all of us kind of did a little, okay, all right, go. So that was it. So now I'm at the moment of truth. I'm getting ready to go up the staircase, the same one that all the award winners were going up that night. But the staircase they told me to go up was way on the other side. And so I made this split decision to go up the main one.
Damn right. Damn right.
I'm going up where everybody else went up.
That's right.
And I started to go up, you guys, and the stairs were wide, though. They weren't like normal steps. So I said, oh, shit, I got to get my ass up here. So I was taking 2 steps on a step. And by the time I got to the 3rd step, my toe clipped the top of that step. No. And I'm going down. You guys, it clipped. I'm like, oh. And somehow my little narrow legs picked myself up and said, I had caught myself. 10,000 collective.
Right.
They knew I was going down, and I didn't. Yeah. I get to the top to my presenters, and I couldn't think of anything but, can you guys believe I almost just bit it? And it was, so we're all just laughing there for a second. Then I'm like, oh shit, this is a live show.
Right.
So I turn around to the mic, and I said, how was that for an entrance? All that nervousness broke right at that moment.
There you go. Break the ice,
That's right.
Yeah, I broke it. But what I didn't realize, if you see the video, if you trophy, here's
oh, let me have my moment. Hold
That's
on.
Right.
I don't need to hold that. Well, I'm supposed to be holding it because
part of the thing.
But anyways, I go through my speech, and it's so wild to me to think back upon it, because I'm looking up and reading teleprompter, and I had to break because I forgot to acknowledge the other 2 finalists, right, in my remarks. So I had to break from that first, go through my remarks, and I acknowledged my wife, and that was a crapshoot because I looked over at her. And then I said, I broke from script and said, out of the way, Flint's on fire, and it came off messed up. And I'm thinking, just look at the script, man. And the last thing that happened, I was so cautious not to look into the audience because I knew there were superstars down there, and it would just frazzle me. So as I'm closing my statement, my eyes glance down, and I catch eyes, and we connect eyes. It's PK Subban looking at me.
Wow. There you go. Yeah.
And I knew that he was looking at me for sure because he smiled and gave me a thumbs up. And I was like, good.
Right.
Like I got starstruck. I was like, I got to
go. That's PK Subban.
Right.
I was like, I got to go now. And so you guys, my mind took a crazy turn, and thank you very much. And I started to throw up a Black Power sign. And I was like, where's this coming from? And I pulled it down like, oh, my God.
Like you're on live TV. Yeah, right.
So I turned around, and I started hightailing it off the stage. Like I had somewhere I had to hurry up.
Well, you did. You had to go to the
bathroom. You had to go pee.
So I'm walking. I'm like, oh, shit, I don't even know where I'm going. And the band is looking at me like, do we play them off now? They're looking at me crazy. And then I hear, Rico. Who's calling me up here? And I turn around, and it's Catherine Tappan. Do you want the award? Like, holy shit, man.
So what you're saying is, if you had a chance to maybe redo your entrance, you might think about taking a mulligan on that one.
Yeah, all that part different. But hey, it wouldn't be such a cool story.
That's
exactly.
Right.
The raw emotion, everything, it plays into it, and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It was. In fact, Elliot Friedman, who was one of the presenters, said to me, Rico, that was one of the most authentic acceptance speeches I've ever heard.
Exactly. And that's all it's about.
Yeah.
Well, I think it speaks to why you won the award to begin with, really. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it all kind of ties it together. And like you said, I mean, you almost don't want it to be so scripted where people go, is this guy for real, right? And, you could almost say, from what I just heard in the last, few minutes, that I don't think there's anybody in that crowd or on TV that probably had a shadow of a doubt if you were real. Right from the get-go. I make my own decisions. I'm going to say what I need to say, and I'll grab that damn award when I feel like it, So,
I think you may be right.
right.
What was really cool, it kind of wrap on that section, was that afterwards I was speaking to the folks behind the scenes at the NHL award, that particular award, and so Rico, now we got you to the side, I want to tell you, we had to check into you, man. I said, what do you mean? She said, you had so many votes. You doubled the other two finalists.
Wow.
You're with one vote. I mean, you're one person. You doubled theirs combined. That's what she said. So we were like, did he cheat? Did he have all things? And then we started seeing and then we went to your social media feeds, and then we said, oh my gosh, this guy here.
Yeah.
So they were like, it was so cool to meet me, because they felt like this guy has exactly what we're looking for. Community.
Exactly. Yep.
Not just a great story.
The authenticity of everything.
And I was going to say, having Willie in your corner really helped, obviously. You know what I mean? But, I'm sure that helped. But, I remember when it came out that, the thing just, like you said, it absolutely exploded. People were coming out of the woodwork, and it showed up on my feed no less than 20 times a day. Easily. And the outreach and the support and obviously, both of us have got a chance to know you over the years, and I think everybody had similar words, man, and you've been able to touch all of those people in a different way, whether through firefighting or teaching or anything else, and I think that to me it doesn't really surprise me, honestly. Like, I think that there's so many people that honestly probably could have wrote a book on it, right? It was just you really done an amazing job with it, man, completely.
Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. And like I said in the outset, I just I've been blessed with a level of passion that a lot of people, maybe they wish that could happen. I try to share it, like, when I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to be all in, and I'm not, certainly not perfect by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to this stuff. Sometimes I'm a little too emotional about things. I'm a little too empathetic, but I do know this, that what I've been able to do is take my experiences both in the fire service and in hockey now and blend them into something like I have a second calling in life, and it's all around hockey. And it's hard to describe going through and growing up wanting to be something as important as a firefighter, living out that dream and having a great career, and then going, what am I going to do now? I was coming to the end of my career. I was like, how am I going to take this badge off? This is my identity. This is who I am. I'm a firefighter for this community. And it was very awkward, because I knew the time had come. Firefighter's a young person's job, relatively young person's job. And from a physical and mental standpoint, I was starting to get to a point where I was like, I'm not showing up the way I used to with that passion. So it's time.
In your area, because obviously you're in Flint City, and yet you see some stuff there, man. It's tough on your mental for sure.
Yeah, earlier in my career, I was on the ambulance as well, and we went through the basic destruction and fallout of General Motors leaving our town, and so I look back at those times and I got some great stories, but also I know that it chipped away at my body and my mind a little bit. So I decided I needed to retire, but I didn't know how. And then the award happened, and I seen this horizon. I said, whoa. So I retired. You guys, I had some really cool experiences going on. The Ottawa Senators invited me over to celebrate the award. 9 hours away from us in another country celebrating the award. That was crazy. And then, of course, the Detroit Red Wings had me down. And for those of you that are hockey purists, not only did I conduct the ceremonial puck drop, but I was invited into the locker room to give the pregame speech.
There it is. That. Yeah. And, I know your pregame speeches, man.
It was a pretty good one, I'll admit. I wasn't too over the top, because these were, imagine going in there and the Red Wings are looking at you.
Yeah. What do you got to say, Rico? What's our game plan today? Did you draw them up some X's and O's, or what'd you do?
I went in there and I just said, I looked up and I said, I'm not sure how I got here. I'm just a kid from Flint. But
Yeah.
I just said it's a humbling moment for me. I was grateful for it, and I hope that the players look for people like me in our communities that they're making a difference and reach out to them and support them any way they can. And with that said, because they told me don't say very little. I said, "Oh, guys know me, huh? You heard of me?"
Right.
They're like, I could go on,
Right.
but anyways, and I read the starting lineup, and I ended it with a "Let's go Red Wings!"
Yeah.
It was great, man. I had a good time that day. There was a player in the room. Trevor Daly is his name,
Yep.
and he's a two-time Stanley Cup champion.
Yep.
And when I would look back at the video they provided of that moment, Trevor was looking at me in a certain way. But before I went there that day, I said, "I'll do this, but can I please meet Trevor Daly?" He said, "Yeah, we'll arrange it." So after the game, we met with Trevor, my wife and my daughter and son and I. And he said, "Rico, I don't know what it is about you, but I want to know you more. Can we exchange information?" And we did. And out of that day, I have a friend. I have a friend called Trevor Daly. And I say that because we talk about real stuff, not about hockey. And I would have never imagined being friends with a professional hockey player, that has won Stanley Cups. And it's thanks to, the opportunities that were presented to me, but that the kindness of this sport has kept me there. So when I tell that story in the front half about being called the N-word, people may ask, well, what kept you here? Because that wasn't the only occurrence, of course. I shouldn't say of course. That wasn't the only occurrence. But what kept me here, why I'm still part of this sport, is because all the good people like you, that don't look to marginalize, that don't look to treat people with disrespect. That's why I came. Because it's fun. Mm-hmm. And the people around me made it fun. And even when I referee, I look to have as much fun as I can doing that job as I can. Because you only live once, and if you show that that example to the players, it's just going to bring the players up, and they're going to enjoy the game more as well. So it's kind of I've taken this whole movement, and then next thing you know, I'm working for the Ontario Hockey League. I mean,
and what are you doing with them?
So I'm currently the director of culture and community for the Ontario Hockey League, and I will say this initially when I let's go back to 2020 when this all became something. Maybe 2019, I was invited up to the OHL business operations meeting. So this is all the business ops folks that from all 20 teams were in Frankenmuth, just to discuss business plans and give how those types of meetings work, the networking, all those types of things. I was invited to talk to them about the award a little bit, but also to talk about how I felt it was important to connect the under-indexed and non-traditional fans to the OHL teams. One of the things I said is when I go inside the Doherty Event Center, what my hopes are is to see a reflection of our entire community, not just the hockey section of our community. And there's ways that you have to do that. You have to do reach out. You have to go right to the center sources of communities. Like in Flint, a center source to reach out would be going to the Black churches because there's such a strong entity within a group of entities within our community. So that'd be just one way of reaching out to a group to say, hey, we have this sport here that's family oriented. The price point is at the family and the experience is for the family, even though there's fighting in the game. But anyways, that's just an example. And
Sure.
so this is when I spoke to the commissioner after that presentation, I could sense this, like he was connected to me. This is like in the fall of 2019. Fast forward, the pandemic hits, and we're all doing the same thing, looking at our televisions going, what is going on now? And George Floyd was murdered. And when that happened, many people, but myself in particular, was like, not just outraged, but wanted to do something. I couldn't sit here anymore and say, this sucks, this is terrible. I wanted to do something. And I'm not a Black Lives Matter, go march in the streets type person. I just believe that's short-lived and noisy. It doesn't really get to the seed of how we can change our society. So I called Willie O'Ree, of all people.
Sure.
And I just called him just to see how he's doing because we're going through the pandemic and how he's, we're all struggling with what was happening, all around us at the time. And I was telling him about my struggles, and he said, "Listen, Rico, I'm going to tell you something. Your voice is being heard in hockey right now, and people are listening. So you better keep on speaking." Okay, Willie.
I will do. Yes, sir.
I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I was like, wow. And so I slept on it. The next day, I fired off an email to the commissioner and said, "I don't know if anybody's doing anything when it comes to cultural diversity and inclusion, but I'd be willing to help that person out. I'm retired now. I'm not looking for a job. I'm just looking for a mission." And that opened up an opportunity. And through 6 phone calls, because he said they were actually looking for someone to fill a role like that. 6 phone calls later throughout that summer, finally I was given an opportunity. And it's so crazy because he's like, "Okay, well, what do we call you? What's your title going to be?" And that's how raw the position was. So I had no blueprint whatsoever. And I became the director of cultural diversity and inclusion for our league, which at the time was, and still is, it's very necessary. But my title represented kind of the movement that was happening in our society. Since then, let's move fast forward 5 years, and now there's this incredible pushback towards DEI. It's almost been weaponized. In fact, it has been weaponized against people that have roles like me. And so what I've been able to do is recognize that in a title, you can cause as much dismay as words that you say. So we changed our title to the Director of Culture and Community because it actually spoke more to what I'm trying to help, is transform the culture of hockey.
Right.
So that I try to be careful by saying kinder, because we play hockey. It's hard to be kind when we play hockey, but to be respectful and have dignity, offer dignity to our sport, and create the awareness that we need to be welcoming in all steps, and that we need to have allies and advocates, so that, because we all make mistakes in things we say. So if someone crosses the line, we need to have advocates that support a person that's been on the wrong side infected. So that's kind of what my role is, between that and helping the business operations connect to the non-traditional fan base, and helping the owners recognize that inclusion is important with their hiring practices. So unique job compared to being a firefighter. I say I'm still putting out fires. They're just dumpster fires all the time.
Right. Now, obviously, a lot of, as you mentioned, with your new career in the OHL world and such. I mean, since the award, has you've received the award, I mean, what have you seen impact-wise as far as the youth program goes? Since then, if anything, have you seen a pretty big uptick in recognition, or what's the status of that today?
Yeah, I would say that our program is widely known through the hockey community and through parts of our community. It's still something that I have to sell to the demographic group that I'm looking for. And I'm not looking just for Black children. I'm looking for kids that are come from the same background. In other words, they live in under-indexed sections of the community. The thing of it is they don't have any exposure to the sport. Even I had exposure to the sport as a kid, because I had kids that I went to school with that played hockey. Guys is just non-existent.
Yeah, hockey itself has just gone down a little bit.
Right.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm not just looking for the poor little kid either. I am looking for kids with parents that just don't know that this opportunity is there, and we open it up and create a segue. Those are the kids that likely will be able to remain in the sport. Right now, we started in 2010, but we've been in running since 2014 nonstop. Yearly, except for the COVID year, of course. But we have 9 players that have gone on to play organized hockey. One of them, he's playing. He got a full or partial scholarship at Adrian College. He's playing hockey at Adrian College. He started at 7 years old with our program. So we have some really good positive things. We have players that are excelling in the sport, that stay in the sport. We continue to struggle with making our sport relevant to the very kids that we're trying to expose it to.
Well, I think a big problem too, like when we were just talking about this not that long ago, but and I obviously, you didn't play as much youth hockey until a little bit later, right? I mean, obviously as far as, and there was a gap in your youth hockey days, at least from when you moved, but like there was, I remember there being 6 to 8 house teams at least per division, and then you'd have 4 travel teams, all at the same rink, right? And now you're lucky to have 1 team per division, and that's a house team, or it has to be a travel team because there's nobody around. And I think some of that also affects a lot of that. I mean, unfortunately for our area, with like you'd mentioned the GM exodus is amongst other things, there's been a lot of people leave, and a lot of people that would, I mean, I don't want to say obviously all of them, but a lot of would-be hockey players have left the area for greener pastures, and good, bad, or indifferent, they all have their reasons. I'm not here to judge that, obviously, but when you think about like Lapeer closing down, right? Obviously, that's just a whole nother set of players that we did get a lot of them at Crystal, but like you did lose some players there, and now you're looking at just flat out opportunity, right? And the more of those you have in your area, the more people you have interested, the more times it gets out there, and unfortunately, like I said, it's gone down. But I do feel like, at least in the last few years, it kind of had its bottoming out period. I do think it's creeping back up. I really do. I think with all the advertisements and programs and stuff that you see, like the NHL put on, similar thing to what you've got going on, among some of the others, I think are starting to kind of swing that back in the right direction. The Try Hockey for Free program is a really good one. But I think you're right. I mean, it's absolutely, for example, it's very easy for somebody, it doesn't matter what community, it's very easy for somebody to grab a basketball and go out and shoot a hoop. It doesn't have to have a net, right? It doesn't have to have even a good backboard, but you can go and shoot a basketball pretty much anywhere you want, any time of year even. Hockey, you got to have skates. You got to have an ice rink to skate on. It's very specific, and just lack of availability sometimes is the biggest challenge, and I think with the partners that you've acquired and had help you along the way is amazing, really. I mean, and help with that accessibility. I really think, like I said, what your program stands for and has been able to achieve is nothing short of amazing, and I really hope that nothing but good things can come out of it going forward.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's something that I had to absorb about the sport and its, as you said, accessibility. I had to take it down to its most simplistic form, and that's just running around on our feet and playing street hockey.
Yeah.
So this summer, I have developed a street hockey program, thanks to our friends at Mott Park, or friends of Mott Park, should I say. They were able to come up with funding, and we have an actual street hockey court. A ball hockey court is actually what they would be called, or in the East Coast, they call them deck hockey courts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's got the sport court down. It's got boards around it. They have nets and netting around it so the ball won't go flying out to the street or wherever. And it's just so cool. So cool, because I'm inviting back those players or participants from our program that aren't going to necessarily move on to skate because for whatever the reasons, right? But they can still come out and play with us.
Sure.
And those that can skate, they're obviously going to come out.
Yep.
And then we bring out folks the kids from outside of the Flint community that play hockey, say, come on down to the park and play street hockey with us. And then again, we're creating that cultural balances. So I had to think outside the box about what hockey means. And well, I want every kid to skate, and because it's such a unique skill, and that's what we teach. Like, once you learn this skill, nobody's going to take it from you. You can go out to Crystal Fieldhouse on a Sunday and actually have some recreation throughout the winter. That's kind of how I promote what we're doing. While they put all the gear on and look cool, bottom line is they can skate when this is over. So
we just talked about on a last episode that we did here about our favorite youth hockey memories, right? And some of our favorite tournaments we went to, or was there a favorite rink you played on, or whatever the case was. And one of the things that kept coming up was a lot of the friends you met in those years are still friends today. Some of my best friends are from hockey. I mean, really, they are. I mean, there's a type of brotherhood or bond that you build with every team every season, and the road trips, and the mini sticks in the hotel hallways, and and all of you flocking to one restaurant nearby and completely overwhelming the wait staff, and and just making a mess of things. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun, and obviously a lot of sports do that, and that's what sports in general do for people. And I obviously, just being a little biased, I don't think there's a better one than hockey. I really don't. And it's just there's just so much that goes on with it, man. And it just really is an awesome sport. It really is. And I know that Brett can speak for the same thing. I mean, he had, plenty of good stories, and coaches would tell you, hey, this one's on me. If you guys go out and win this game, this, whatever you guys do is on me. And, but I think it's just as much, obviously, as I said, exposure, for the world as it is just helping the game grow in general. And it sounds like that's everything that you stand for.
I got to tell you, when I started doing work for the OHL, the kids that play in that, I can call them kids, they're 16 to 20-year-old. And one thing I knew about them is that they are still developing young people. And when I first got there, I wanted to get my finger on the pulse of the Ontario Hockey League from a cultural standpoint. And one of the things I found out is that the 7 people that I interviewed, they were all players of color, Black Canadian, Black American, South Asian, Indigenous. I asked them, had they ever heard a racial slur taught while they've been playing hockey? And all of them indicated yes. And so first couple, I'm like, all right, what team is I got to go talk to?
Yeah, right, exactly.
They all indicated it was from their youth, from the time they're between ages 8 and 12.
Right.
And I only bring that up to say that youth hockey is still such a vital, important time to develop these young people into good people, not necessarily good players. And so, for me, it's been just so important to stay connected to youth hockey and the minor hockey, and not just go, okay, that's for them to worry about, because we want to set them up for the future successes as well by the time they get to an elite level or wherever they go in life, to be the best versions of themselves. So that's one thing that I wanted to make clear as I move forward in my career, that I was never going to forget what got me here. And that's why I still run the Flint Intercity Youth Hockey Program, and why I still referee here locally. Although my wife and I are talking about, man, it might be time to give it up, man. I got hurt my last couple games. I've been getting hurt, man.
Hey, you got to come do one of our beer league games first, though, before you
got to do
before
a
you hang them up.
ceremonial exit game or something.
Not do beer league.
Oh, I know. I haven't seen you there.
I know.
We get Cateman and Daryl and Pav and
right.
Oh, you know those characters.
Yeah.
So listen, it's funny you say that, because last time I ref men's league, which I don't because I play in the leagues mostly, but I'm a different character. I'm not so fun loving, right? I get serious because I'm just waiting for these jack wheels to start talking shit to me.
Yeah. They will. They
crazy.
will.
I've done something crazy. I say, who's the team rep? I need team reps over here. Like I'm calling captains over.
And that's me.
Yeah.
And that's me.
Hey, I'm not here for that bullshit.
Right.
I will give you tens. I will dime you and get you out of here.
Right.
Don't test me.
Yeah.
Right. I want to have fun too. And usually it works out for them, but they're like, damn, Rico.
Yeah.
Where's the easygoing guy? Oh, no, I'm not easygoing when I'm wearing the pants.
This is work now. Right.
I think one of my favorite things with the local refs now is that the majority of the refs that are in our local area now they've been around forever.
Right.
So it was just a few weeks ago, for once I scored a goal, and Pav was our ref. And for some reason, I skated my ass off, and I won a puck battle and scored. And Pav comes over, he's like, I haven't seen you skate like that since you were 9. It's like, oh, thanks, dude. Appreciate that. I was like, and the fact that you remember that is also a testament to how old you are.
Right.
Hey, listen, I'll double that down. I remember him when he was 9 skating. I used to ref his team. I did, man. I was that ref all over the ice when he was playing.
Yeah, and I don't think he's probably improved a ton of skating wise since he was 9 either. He's pretty much plateaued, and he is where he is now, right? So we give him crap for that all the time.
That's also like kind of like what I'm leaning to is like the fact that majority of the refs now, because pretty much all of us that play over at Crystal on Sunday nights we grew up in the area,
right.
So we played on teams in the area, so we've known these people since we were kids.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun jawing back and forth over because we know each other forever.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what makes the sport fun too. No matter what. Like I said, I mean, I know rec basketball players have as much fun as we do, and it's not really rec football, so they're bumming.
Hey.
But softball leagues. I know we all have our fun, but again, I think what separates us is that skill level that it takes to participate in our sport. And I think we all know that, even though it's subconscious, and that it's special what we're doing out here. And so, I encourage us to continue to try to grow this sport and I think one of the big things long term for our sport is the accessibility part. And I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
how you go into the hockey store and you see sticks for $400 and you go, who's buying this and
Right.
why?
I was just there yesterday, get my skate sharpened. Look at the stick racks; it's right there, and they have a mark. It's called a markdown rack, but the stick, it was still a $200, and it was marked down. I'm like, what do you mean
Well, you
it's
can't
marked
compete.
down?
You can't compete when, like I mentioned earlier, you can go sign up for a basketball league for either free or $50 for the season. And that gets you, a pair of shorts, maybe a matching jersey, and your team fee for the year. And then, like you said, it's $200 for a discounted stick, and that gets you nothing else. I mean,
Right.
that's a major, major, major obstacle, and that sport is not getting any cheaper. It's just not. I mean, the ice time, is expensive, and the equipment, and then growing out of it every other year as as a youth
Right.
player coming up is the biggest challenge. And unless there's a way to subsidize that somehow, that's a huge challenge going forward. And that's hard. That's really hard to get that. And I think that's, like you've obviously learned, is that one of those major hurdles. Like you said, you get past some of that stuff and accessibility equipment and ice time, and then you start to open up some doors for people. But in other areas that other states and stuff that don't have that, how do you get people to make that commitment? It's hard. It's very hard, and so that's a big challenge for the sport going forward.
Yeah, I spoke to a mom earlier this season. Kid is on a Bantam house team. And she says to me, she says, you know what the struggle is that I'm doing everything I can to afford my kid to be here, and I'm not trying to complain about that. But when a kid whose parents can't afford it comes in with that $300-400 stick, and what that does to the rest of the room, like everybody wants that stick, and so my
Right.
kid's crying, oh, he's got to have that stick.
Right.
And she says, it's not that I'm envious that they can afford that stick, but that stick isn't going to shoot any harder or any better than my kid's stick at $150.
Right.
Why are the parents like they're pushing the price up themselves by allowing for that,
For sure.
right? And I know it's a fine line to dance, but kids buying a 14-year-old kid in Bantam House with a $300 stick,
It's
it
crazy.
just doesn't make
It's
sense
a
to
who's
me.
who keeping up with the Joneses thing is really what it
Right.
is.
So that's when I had three kids that we started in our program the year before last, and then they played organized last year and had to leave this year. That's the first time I've had players leave after they've started. It was all due to the cost.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They can't, like you said, house hockey is only the level. It doesn't mean we're playing in the house.
Right.
We're going hour away for the lowest level, skill level of hockey,
Right.
where it used to be all in one space. So I don't know how we handle that challenge. I mean, the corporate world, I guess Bauer and CCM and all the others are in it to make money. I get that, but I think what we're doing was we're just pushing it so hard and so fast at our youth level to have the very best equipment that stuff shouldn't even be in their wheelhouse at all. I
Agreed.
mean, even if you can afford it.
Yeah, but
And you look at these are kids. The next year they're going to need all new stuff anyway because they're growing.
and it's not like they can't learn with a wood stick, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with a darn wood stick, and obviously a lot of very successful NHLers scored a ton of goals with wooden sticks. So, it's just it's again like a who's keeping up with the Joneses, right? It's always trying to one up somebody else, and that does not help the situation at all.
No, because then for me, helping to create a segue for young families to get into the sport, I mean, I have to break it down to them before they actually sign up because I'm not going to just go here. Good luck. I want to, but it's awkward because I'm like, all right, so here's the real deal. You got all summer to save up all the money, that extra money you have, so we can get you some equipment going next year and things like that. So that's the struggle, and I think it's a challenge. So everything in life that has a challenge means that it's worth working and fighting for. So
Yeah,
hopefully
and obviously, as we get wrapped up here a little bit, sorry to keep you a little overtime here, but if there's anything, Rico, that we can do, for your program, we'd be more than happy to.
Yeah,
Any
if
sort
you
of
need any volunteers for those skates that you do,
Yeah.
feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to help
yeah,
you.
please do. Yeah, if there's anything for the show can offer you for getting it out there recognition wise, please reach out because we'd love to be a part of it. We really would.
it means so much to me, and I do have an opportunity come up where I need adult volunteers exclusively, and it's the day that we do our orientation where we fit the players or participants for the first time. In the past, I would have kind of rough shot, and if it's not, it can get very cumbersome if I don't have folks that know what they're doing.
Sure.
I used to invite high school teams in, and then the kids come out and like, what are you
Right.
wearing?
Right.
Pants down to their ankles.
Oh,
and
yeah. That way. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
if you need any more, feel free, man.
Yeah, we'd
Be happy to help you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity at sharing a little view of my world and my story. It's, I hope to inspire a few people that if Rico can do it, can do something to impact his world around him, you can too. Utilize your voice, like I utilize hockey, but before that, I utilize firefighting, and I'll utilize whatever avenue it takes just to be, like I said, the best version of myself. So maybe I lead by example, and who knows, man.
And something tells me we didn't even scratch the surface yet.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have you on again at some point and get into a little bit more. Because there was a lot of fire questions I had for you that we didn't even get into. So
yeah, that like I said, the whole.
So yeah, we'll definitely have to do this again because this has been awesome and it's great to hear more of your story. Obviously, we just know some of the articles that they just throw the headlines out there. They don't have the nitty gritty behind it.
But knowing you a long time, and then I've learned several things in this. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just I can't imagine some of the other stuff that you've got in there that you haven't even touched on yet. But before we let you go, a slight change in the Red Wings world as Derek Lalonde was let go. Todd McClellan's been brought in. Red Wings have been on a pretty good roll since that's happened. As a hockey expert for our community, what is it that you've seen that's been a big change with the Red Wings, and do you think it's something sustainable as they roll towards the playoffs?
I've noticed a subtle change in their systems that they're running on the ice.
Boom, right there.
So that's I've noticed it's noticeable.
100%.
And I think because of that, it's given a boost of energy, so to speak.
It was a morale boost they needed.
Yeah. And, I'm going to hold my fingers like this on a wild card. But if they don't make it, it won't crush me at this point because the first half of the season is so tanked. As a staunch fan, though, it does concern me that, it looks like you got a winning recipe and then the recipe really doesn't taste very good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you worry, to have Patrick Kane play for the Detroit Red Wings is incredible.
It's still crazy to say.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Like, it's Patrick Kane is a Red Wing?
And he really, honestly, the expectation coming into the season was players like him, Tarasenko, and then you have, obviously, your Larkin, you got another year of Raymond, and all these other players. You look at this team on paper, and you're like, this is a playoff team. They may not be a cup-winning team, right? But they're a playoff team. And they they underperform so poorly in the beginning. And Hall of Famers like Kane, he's a surefire Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it.
First ballot.
And to see him he looked like he was ready to age right out, and you're like, man, there's no way this guy fell off that much. He's too talented. A 50% reduction in Patrick Kane is better than half the leaguers out there as it is. But to see him fall off, you knew there was more to that, and to see him have a reinvigoration, to hear Larkin say on TV that there's a light now that's back with this team that we didn't have before. It doesn't make Lalonde a bad dude, but this message was very stale. The system was not working, and they were lackluster, they were uninspired, and they needed a change. And I think that we had spoke of this many times. They don't need a nice coach anymore. They don't need somebody that is going to be their friend. Mm-hmm. They need somebody to kick them in the ass. And as McClellan put it in his own words, play some fucking hockey. And and that's what they've done, I think. And it's really awesome to see. Like you said, you got to have your reservations a little bit. That I do agree that it came a little too late, personally. But I think they've got a shot. they're in the mix now with the 6-game streak they're on. They're in the mix now, but obviously, you get the All-Star break and
the Four Nations break.
Right. And so,
the Four Nations break.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-week break in February.
Right. And so you got that, and then obviously, whatever happens at the deadline and things, and then you make your run. But there's a long season still left here that people forget. There's still 3 months left.
It's half the season.
Right. At least half the season left. And so, to sustain it's going to be a challenge, but I do like the direction that they're heading right now.
Mm-hmm.
Without question. I'll share with you a quick Patrick Kane story, personal Patrick Kane story. So we're take you back to the award show. We're in the green room, and I'm just kind of sitting there going, oh my gosh, there's Mark Messier. So I actually went up and spoke to Mark Messier. And then there's we're about to go to a different section, and Patrick Kane was there with his wife. And I'm trying to remember who the other player was. Well, they were talking to one another. And I'm standing face to face with Patrick King. We're right
Wow.
across, I mean, like right there. And I was like, man, should I ask? You know, he's talking to his wife. I was like, I don't want to be super fan back here. You know, hey, can I have your picture? Can I have your-" but I was like, it's Patrick King.
Right.
Then the thing that stopped me is, he's a fucking Black Hawk. Who cares? Let's go.
Get out of here. Right.
No, I'm like,
And now it'd be no big deal now that he's a Red Wing, and I'm happy that he chose Red Wings. And man, and I was nervous that he wasn't going to come back this year for a little bit there. But you know what? I also felt bad that after the first 20 games, he did choose to come here, and I'm like, he's got to be just so disappointed in his decision because he has to know there is so much more to this than what this team has shown. And again, I think I read something. It was like he's got 8 or 9 points since the coaching change. He's over a point a game now, and he's kind of back to playing that level of hockey that we're used to. And again, it's just really good to see, you know, somebody like him who, you know, another year removed from a big surgery, is out there playing some good hockey, you know. So hopefully it can continue.
Hopefully they can make it 7. They have a little matinee game today against the Kraken.
Yeah. See what happens.
I don't know how well Kraken's not playing too well themselves.
Exactly. That's
right.
So they got Kraken and San Jose at home the next 2 games. So they could very well take the state an 8-game streak.
Right.
Wow. If they just keep on this train that they're rolling.
You never know.
Because one big thing is they're winning the shot battle. And that was a big thing at the beginning of the year where they were getting outshot horribly every game.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we won't take any more of your beautiful Sunday here. I know you got your grandson coming over here soon. But thank you so much, Rico. This has been awesome. Obviously, we're going to have to do this again because these stories are awesome, and I know you got a million. So
I do. If anybody knows me, says, man, this dude's got stories coming out of his ears.
I love stories.
My mouth.
But Rico, yeah, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. Good luck to you and your with your hockey program. Obviously, always reach out to us if you ever need help with it. We'll be more than happy to help you out.
Thank you so much, Brett and Brett. I appreciate both of you.
No problem at all, man.
You have yourself a great day. Let's go Red Wings and let's go Lions.
That's right.
Yeah, heck yeah. Isn't that something? Even Pistons.
Even the Pistons, yeah.
They're all making runs right now. And the Tigers had a good thing at the end of the year. I mean, I think all the 4 major sports are the best combined they've been
in 10 years.
In a long time. Long time. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, hold your breath. But anyway.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rico. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Have a great day, buddy.
Too.
All right.
Rico.
Yes, sir.
Before you go,